No.
Too many people? Gotcha.
Yeah, I just want to be three people. I think we are live.
All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy Neil here with another story time, and this is one people actually like. So we might actually have a conversation this week. With unfortunately, Nerd Wonder could not be here. She's on another stream, and so Corrupt's internet is kind of lousy. So I
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
in two replacements. So this is Jaime and Common. Say hi,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
The,
Hello.
the
So,
master of justice and whoopassery.
oh boy, we're gonna do
Oh,
this
we're
this week.
get we're getting cringe.
We're
What?
doing this week, aren't we? All right. So, what
All
Kate
right,
books are you presenting to us this week, Neil?
all right. So today, Xbox controller. That's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about a personal favorite of mine, Down Among the Dead Men, or Spider-Man, Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 1 through 4. This
Ooh.
is a very personal favorite of mine. If anyone doesn't know who it's by Mark Millar and Terry Dodson and Rachel Dodson. This is before Mark Millar got unnecessarily edgy, but he was just edgy enough to make a good story.
So he was just a little bit edgy.
Yeah, just edgy enough. It's like 90s edge.
The decent kind of edge.
Yes,
Mm.
edgy, but not
But
edgy boy.
as I eat this pizza next to me, I'd like to direct you guys to today's straw poll. We are going to be voting. Hey, Adam, how are you doing? Um, if you go to the straw poll this week, you can vote for next week's story time ahead of time. Um, this this week's options are pizza time. um, this week's options are Venomous, which is the next 4 issues in the Marvel Knights Spider-Man run. Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 5 through 8. Life and Times of Cindy Moon is back on the docket because the rule for each week is that the second place option will be back on the docket for next week. The other options are Getting the Band Back Together, which are the first 6 issues of Superior Foes of Spider-Man, and Unscheduled Stop, ASM 578 and 579.
Yeah.
So this is a free country, not a free country.
Well, that was quick. Oh,
Um,
new ways to die.
mm,
I'll go vote.
that'll probably be on next week's poll.
Yeah, yeah.
We just need to get this week's poll. So if you guys would vote on one of these 4 stories at the end of story time, we will go over each one of the options and see which one won. So it's not fun without Nerd here to whine about Slot.
Oh, I know, I know.
That that's what that's what
I,
made it fun to bounce off because I like the first couple arcs of Slot's run.
well, the thing about Slot is he had a great first.
Like a couple good first 2 years, and then he just kind of went down the shitter.
Well, that's because he got complacent.
Yeah, but there's only 12 issues in this run, so we might do the entire. They'll probably be on the docket for a bit, but we'll eventually cover all of Marvel Knights Spider-Man. But this week we're just gonna be doing the first 4 issues because it's a trade's worth of stories, and I figure we can blow through it all in one night. It took us 2 hours to get through a double-sized Slot issue and 3 others, so I think we can blow through this one in less time. Anyone,
Yeah.
anyone, anyone care to disagree?
Nah, Slotto, on his prime, you could blow through it. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Audience.
let's begin. Commence the story time. So right off the bat, I love this cover. It doesn't really exude everything that is Spider-Man, but it certainly comes close to doing it. It just has Spider-Man and Black Cat swinging. It's actually a double page. It's actually a wraparound cover because you have the same cover from the front to the back, with you got all the important rogues for this run
Hmm,
on the back, and I think that's actually a really nice touch
it
because
is.
in today's Marvel trades you get the cover of one of the issues and then one on a random cover on the back.
Huh.
I don't know. The 2000 era trades had something special to them.
Oh yeah.
To start off, this is a fun little thing I found out. because I started collecting comics in 2009, like just after the little brain trust started writing Spider-Man. Um, something I found out this was a thing. I did not know about this before 2009. That you could like order things and have them shipped to your doorstep. I know Brad does that, but I don't know. That seems kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Directly from Marvel. I don't know. But starting off, we get the same cover again. I always did like it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and we start off in a diner. I think it's in Manhattan. I assume it's Manhattan because that's where Peter basically lives.
Oh yeah.
And
He's been there. What was he on the Lower East Side and then moved into Manhattan?
he was in Queens and then lived
Yeah.
on So we start off in a diner. This actually doesn't start off with Peter. It starts off with two random guys who work at a diner together, or is it a bakery? We're gonna say it's a diner for the sake of simplicity, but that's up for debate. Um, this is kind of like the most mundane conversation ever. These guys are talking about Legally Blonde 2. That was a topical reference.
Oh my, that was quite a while back. Before Reese Witherspoon's last plastic surgery, to be honest, and her drunk driving charge.
Woo!
Do you know who I am?
But apparently they're having a debate. They're having a debate about Legally Blonde 2. They're having more debate about DVDs.
Ooh,
They're talking about like why would this guy makes a good point. Why the heck should you pay an extra $10 for a movie that costs half as much to pack and half as much to ship as an old VHS tape?
Yeah.
Then again, like DVDs are cheap nowadays, but that's because of video streaming made them cheap. So But this one guy, we'll name him Joe, or we'll name him Mario actually, because he looks like Mario.
It's me.
Oh boy.
It's a me, Ghetto Mario. And so he takes out the trash to the back, and he finds our boy Spider-Man in the trash.
Oh, whoa.
Just where J. Jonah Jameson would want him.
Well, yeah. But Parker's not getting him those photographs.
Man.
He's a teacher now.
Who raped Spider-Man? It's like he's even got tear on his butt. It's like
the Glenn Gorblin.
The Green Goblin just gave him that hard dick in the butt. He's like,
stop. But this is a Christian. So this is a Christian stream.
And you should have had me on.
All right.
But basically, I think that we'll get into Terry Dodson's art in a minute. But the cops, they say they're gonna call the cops, but then he's like trying to talk to somebody. And he realized, get back in the store and close the doors. And then they realize that it's your boy, the Green Goblin.
Oh.
And I'm not a big fan of how Dodson draws him with like that weird like ball sack chin.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that. That like, was a bit off-putting.
Say what you will about Giuseppe Camuncoli, the guy who does. I'm not sure if you guys have read Slot's run, but he's the guy who did the Goblin Nation arc. Say what you will, he does a very menacing Green Goblin.
He does.
I think Stuart Immonen does it better, but I think that Camuncoli did a really good job. But basically, getting back into the fight, Spider-Man throws him aside and then takes the pumpkin bomb straight to the face. It's like an L. He takes it right to his face. And so they begin. Peter begins internally monologuing about his fight with the Green Goblin, explaining where they've been. Basically, that Goblin held a bank hostage, or was it a church?
It was a church. It was a church.
Yeah, it was a church.
But like, why was he trying to draw out Spider-Man?
Oh, he just wanted Spider-Man there for shits and giggles. That's a classic Norman thing to do. He just does things because he can.
Yeah, I thought he was more methodical, though.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Goblin usually has a long-term plan, but he usually does it because he can do it.
Oh.
There's that whole thing during like Dark Reign where he was the leader of the Thunderbolts.
Oh,
he did
I
it
know.
because he could.
That was Dark Reign. It was Avengers.
That was a line-wide thing.
Yeah, it was.
And he was the leader of the Dark Avengers.
Well, yeah, but Dark Reign was a line-wide Like
Oh, okay.
you know how Secret Empire has those tie-ins.
Right.
Dark Reign was kind of like one of the like a more subtle version. Like they had a Dark Reign banner, but they didn't have. We're getting off topic.
All right. Sorry.
Let's get
But
back to it.
but basically Norman wanted Peter there so he could shank him.
Yep.
With a steak knife, and so Peter said, "No, you," and so we've been breaking each other's bones ever since. And so this is really weird. I think this is kind of a weird moment where Peter goes, "Who's your daddy now, Mr. Osborn?" I think that's just
I love in one of the panels they actually acknowledge that he's wearing the mask because if you look on page I forgot I don't have a painted number.
yeah, I can see it. Like he grabs Norman by the eye holes.
Yep.
Well, even before that, there's just one where he's just throwing a hook and he gets him across the face, and the mask is turned on it, like on his face from the punch. And I'm like, that is some damn good detail.
But I will say this: Terry Dodson was probably, I don't want to say he was the best choice to do the art for this series, but he definitely was a good choice because he say what you will about like his facial anatomy, because his faces kind of get a little weird, especially Peter's at times. But he draws masked characters very well, and he does a very good job illustrating like the very easily breakable nature of spandex. Like he gets how to draw like the tears, and like you make it look like it's actually like bulky spandex.
Oh yeah.
I do like that he's got the piece of hair sticking out of the mask, which makes sense. It's like,
yeah. So Peter hooks Norman and gets him kind of down, and then he decides that he goes from fist to mailbox.
Ow.
Which is not necessarily his fault, but you know, someone told him to do it, and that's kind of a big step up from fist to mailbox.
Yeah. That you've escalated once you hit mailbox.
And especially, it's actually kind of, if you've read the end of the series and you know how it ends, this is kind of ironic going forward into the story. The mailbox will become important later in a sort of sense.
Oh yeah.
But this is basically where everything starts going to crap for Peter, because everybody's getting on him about, I don't know why they're getting on him about it, but they're getting angry about the fact that he hit a guy with a mailbox who was trying to blow the city up.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It'd be like, oh, hey, I bet you wouldn't be saying that if it was a terrorist.
And so this one random guy, is it a guy or a woman? I can't tell. Can anyone tell?
It's a dude.
Okay, because I think it's the same person that's in the fourth panel on the next page. But they go. Why would you go? This person like goes near Norman's pumpkin bombs, just lying on the ground. That's dumb.
That's what we call asking for it.
And so this guy gets a bunch of shrapnel in his leg because he decided to touch a fucking pumpkin bomb.
Oops.
Sorry.
I was reading that. I kind of thought, it's like, hey, did you kind of do that to just get Spider-Man to swing you to the hospital?
Yeah. So
he's pretty calm about it.
So then everyone starts turning on him because he told someone not to touch a pumpkin bomb. Everyone's mad at him now. So the cops come and he runs away.
Well, yeah.
And
so who wants to deal with the NYPD at that time?
It's like,
especially during like immediate post 9/11.
Yeah.
But we cut back to Forest Hills in Queens, where Peter and MJ are living now. And so Peter basically says, "Hey, Aunt May, I left my wallet. Pay the taxi driver, please."
What is that guy? What? I think that guy eats other taxi drivers to keep up his strength. Look at him.
He just eats a shit ton of protein powder.
He's like, "Hi, old lady."
Yeah.
Terry Dodson's attractive MJ and Aunt May help him into the house. Well, not attractive Aunt May, but you know, Terry Dodson draws a very nice MJ. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
But they help him in the house, and he decides to throw up in the sink, or was it just coughing up blood? I can't. Kind of maybe both. I don't know.
It's a little of both. Yeah, he's taking enough damage. He's coughing up.
Yeah, and so she gets him. Peter basically takes half a bottle of Tylenol.
Ugh, that's not good.
Well, no, it makes sense because Peter's metabolism is a freaking champ.
Well, it is,
Yeah.
but still, he's going to have liver damage for days too. But that's here nor there.
Could have a super liver. You don't know
Yeah.
don't know how
And
powerful
so-
that super liver is. Sorry.
So I like how Millar kind of goes into like the kind of not necessarily dirty details, but like he gets into the nitty gritty of crap of fight scenes. Like MJ pulls up Peter's shirt and she finds like a giant gash, and apparently Norman bit Peter. You know, because that's a thing you do. Adam,
if you're a perfectly rational person,
is trouble canon to this story? That's a good question. The answer is no. Thank God it's not. And for those of you who don't know, Jaime, you guys know what trouble is.
oh yeah, I have a pretty good idea. Calvin, you want to answer that one?
Like what? Repeat that. Sorry.
Trouble.
What do you mean trouble?
The story Trouble
I was
by
reading.
by Millar and Dodson.
I never read that.
So you want me to give him a TLDR?
Go ahead.
It's basically Aunt May and Uncle Ben Aunt May and Peter's mom Mary meet Ben and Richard at a club where they're
Oh wait, is that
doing
the one?
work. That's the one where Aunt May gets pregnant with Peter.
That one was fucking dumb. That is almost as dumb as the whole thing of Iron Man not actually being that guy, his dad's kid, and he was
Howard Stark's son. Yeah,
that was
the
fucking
whole
dumb.
Amanda Armstrong crap. That blame Gillen for that. Like, give Bendis some credit. That's not his fucking mess. He just made it worse. He just cut open the scab. But Peter just takes a half. It's revealed that Peter, even though Peter took some serious hits, he managed to save everybody. I think that's what's great about this issue is that it demonstrates that while Peter is not even close to invincible, he still finds a way to save everybody. And there's something kind of charming in that.
oh yeah. Which is why Peter was the everyman slot.
Yeah. And I hate it when people try to make Peter, like, there's a thing on certain forums where they try to make Peter pseudo invincible, like where he doesn't take any hits. Like when Peter's angry and he has a reason to like go in a giant frenzy and is untouchable, like, yeah, that makes sense. But like in a normal fight, yeah, he's gonna take some licks.
I mean, for example, the one fight that he had against Wolverine, that was brutal because Wolvie kicked his ass.
And there was a lot of blood, if I remember.
Yes, there was. People remember Wolverine is a trained killer. He's very good at what he does, and what he does is not very nice.
But I liked this scene because it basically was... it showed that Peter is not anywhere close to invincible. He's going to take a lot... It kind of sets up the idea that he's going to take a lot of hits in this story. And I think it demonstrates that point very well.
Oh, yeah.
But Aunt May goes to the living room with a bunch of VCR tapes. And it's revealed that apparently CNN did its job for once and actually recorded the news.
Oops.
And they got footage of the Green Goblin fight. Or after footage. Shit, I couldn't see myself in the camera. But Aunt May's like, but Peter says, "Wait a minute, what are you doing with these Iron Man videos?" And she goes, "It's that little mustache, sweetie. Don't you think you look just like Ronald Coleman?" Oh boy.
Oh.
We don't want trouble, Aunt May. We don't want trouble.
Oh.
But another cut. This is kind of a lot of cuts in this story. But it cuts to MJ taking out the trash while Peter and Aunt May are helping Aunt May move out because she's going to live in an apartment in Manhattan. And Peter finds Doc Ock's old engagement ring. That's a fun story.
Oh.
And I love how Aunt May is so sentimental and Peter's like, yeah, because Dr. Octopus is such a sensitive guy.
He's sexy. He's a sexy scientist.
Thanks, Slot, for burning that image of May and Otto having sex before the wedding. You know. Thanks, Slotto.
Yes, Slot. Remember, Slot does think he's Otto.
So does it mean he wants to bang Aunt May? Oof.
And MJ through Peter's body. Remember that.
Ah! Ah! But Aunt May's like, yeah, I can let the next young couple live in these old bricks and mortar, don't you? Sonny? Why wasn't Jackpot empty? Does Shogun like the Brand New Day era? Because he seems to draw a lot of inspiration from the Brand New Day era.
Hey, look who's in the chat.
Oh no! Ah!
It is the greatest super villain of all time, Slotto Bloctavius.
Slotto Bloctavius. But they go into Peter's room. I actually really like this. Like, if you look at the detail, there's a lot of like nice little details in the stuff. Like, look at Peter's desk chair. Dodson does a great job at just showing like things beaten up, not just like costumes, but he does a great job at the backgrounds being like having the crap beaten out of him and having like tons of wear and tear.
Oh yeah.
But as Peter and MJ, as Peter and why did I say MJ? Aunt May have a very nice moment where they hug and help her move. We get a man hanging upside down in a tree. Some people would think that this is Kane, the degenerate clone, but you'd be wrong. I'm not going to tell you who it is for the sake of story purposes, and so we can rig the votes in favor of the next arc. But
yay, politics.
But it'll be fun to reveal it later.
Yeah. Yay, politics. Something that Danny Boy in here knows about.
Woo!
Isn't that right, Dan? Oh, Danny Boy, you're back on Twitter.
Oh, he is? Oh boy.
But next page we cut back to Midtown High, because remember, this is the era where Peter was a high school teacher and MJ was no, I think Peter was still the main breadwinner, but MJ was still acting. This is kind of a weird place because I don't remember exactly. This came out in 2004, but I don't remember where Peter and MJ were during 2004. It's confusing. But basically Peter has to go. It's kind of like an exposition dump, but delivered more in the fact that his students are curious to know where he is. I think this is probably the smartest way they could have done an exposition dump, where the kids are like, "Didn't you used to be famous, Mr. Parker?" And they like go through a bunch of stuff where they talk about like he doesn't get royalties, but they talk about his marriage. It's kind of clunky transition into talking about his marriage and how they had a trial separation.
Oh yeah, because they did.
And that was what, during the Mackie Byrne reboot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they did get back together in 2004. So this was like just after coming home. No, not coming home, but this was a good chunk of the way into the JMS run.
Yes, for those that remember, that was the better writer, J. Michael Straczynski.
AKA the Babylon 5, man.
Hold on. Am I going to see a because I mentioned JMS?
Woo! You can bring in your boy Joey Quesadilla.
I ordered the Joe Burrito, by the way, not the quesadilla.
Oh, well, that's too bad. You're getting a quesadilla, so screw you. But there's this weird. This is like kind of leaking into Millar's edginess, like current day Millar, where this teenage girl goes, "The lonely teacher's looking for a date" is a real scream too. Like, what the hell? Is she like looking to get like into a relationship with a teacher? That's kind of weird.
Someone took the Van Halen song a little too seriously in that story arc.
But oh, go away, Dan. But one of Peter's teacher friends, Mr. Marsh, who apparently does some really freaky things online.
Does he going down to South Park too?
I guess so. He pays Tree Fitty for a head.
Mm.
And okay, so Adam's right. They Volume 2, number 50 came out in 2003, so they've been about to get together for back about a year's worth of comics. So this makes sense. Okay. So Peter gets summoned by Mr. Marsh, and it says City Council called, and it cuts to Ben Parker's grave, Uncle Ben's grave, being shown as desecrated. And later on, it makes more sense, but for now, it just seems like a random act of vandalism. And so Peter tries to call Aunt May, or not call Aunt May, but the city council guy did. But he gets a call from who he thinks is Aunt May, and so he gets a call from the mystery man who was stalking them outside their house earlier, and he's got the CNN footage. This was back when they could use CNN.
Oh yeah,
and not just have like a random, like, you know how in Spencer's Sam Cap run they had like that fake pseudo Fox News network.
Oh yeah, or all the TV networks have the like NCIS has to do CNN.
Yeah, like
it's so stupid.
Well, no, it makes sense now because people are a lot more protective of their copyright brands.
Yeah,
they don't like as weird as it sounds, Marvel kind of is competition in a way.
Yeah, because they're affiliated with Disney.
And there used to be like a time when they could and Disney owns ABC, doesn't it?
Disney owns
NBC.
No, Disney owns
ABC.
ABC, ESPN. So yeah, they were competition with the other networks.
And also, they used to make a ton of like references to other superhero comics back in the day. Like they can make references to Superman and Batman.
Oh yeah.
Like the ASM Free Comic Book Day issue was like the first time in a while I've seen them make a reference to a DC character. Because Peter mentions that he voted for Batman in the election for mayor.
Nice. But Joey's over. We have Joe Queso here. He's
yay.
Joe, there's no Richard here. No arguing.
Peach time.
All right. So what else are we looking at here? So we got Mystery Man. We've got maybe Aunt May.
Care for a wheat cake, sweetie. And so Peter realizes, oh shit. And so he runs home, like he webs home out of costume. He doesn't care. But
you would think he'd have to keep the mask at least on him at all times.
Well, no, but he doesn't have the costume with him.
No, I'm just saying, just keep the mask tucked in the pocket, you know.
He used to back in the day whenever he started out superheroing, but I guess he got a little more discreet about it.
Yeah. And then he basically races home to Aunt May's apartment and finds it basically ransacked and everything's on the floor.
Sorry.
Rip. And it closed that issue one with Peter going, "Oh my god," to Aunt May's apartment being basically trashed.
Oh my god.
The second issue, I actually really like this cover. Peter is fighting all the Avengers. And like he's clearly holding his own. Like he doesn't. It kind of establishes like during this time Peter didn't give a crap. He just kind of did his own thing and could hold his own against the Avengers. I think it's actually been,
yeah.
Well, actually, Peter has been able to kind of hold his own against the Avengers for a while now, and he still does kind of, depending on what roster it is.
But remember, kids, this was Peter's edgy Peter. Edgy.
Well, we've had too many. We've had too many edgy Peters.
Well, this is better than this is better than the sleeping on the couch, Peter.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dan.
Yeah, just wearing your girlfriend's My Feminist Agenda. Yeah, that didn't backfire. Oh, wait, she's not writing the Vision anymore.
All right, calm down.
Sorry. I just still think that was very unprofessional that she actually went after Marvel, like, after like they canceled the Vision. I was like, really?
Shocker! You can't escape pizza time. But the issue opens with. After a really kick-ass, I know I've said this before, but this is a really kick-ass cover.
It is, and they got the Wasp in their best costume.
Best Wasp.
Peter basically says, "Mary Jane, I want you to go." It's like, get the fuck out before Mephisto gets to us.
Mephisto you.
But MJ,
nice
it's TLDR. MJ doesn't want to go, but Peter wants her to get out of the state for a bit. So that
because shit's really, really bad.
And so he does, and this is like just after they got back together. Like in comic time, this is kind of just after they got back together after a lengthy separation. So Peter's like really MJ really doesn't want to go, and I think that's very illustrative of how much they care for each other. That MJ is like really hesitating to leave, but she does it because she knows Peter cares about her, and she knows that it's for her own good, and that's why she goes along with it.
Mary Jane isn't a dummy. She is a smart woman.
But
she knows it's going to be bad.
Yeah,
and she knows that it's already getting bad. But
it's also the fact that like he's gonna like he's with me with Peter with me on Peter's mind. He can't focus on doing what he has to do.
But what?
Go, Joe. None of that MGTOW stuff, Joe.
MGTOW.
But I like this one line Peter says at the end of the third page. I'm a superhero, MJ. It's never as bad as it looks.
Yes, it is.
Which is funny considering he gets the crap beaten out of him all the time.
He does.
And so as MJ gets in the cab, and Peter basically has to think of an excuse for why everybody's gone. MJ's gone because I don't know. But I like this because Peter's kind of backed into a corner. Like, he doesn't have very many options going into this, and he's kind of stuck without revealing his identity to the police. He has the Avengers kind of, but not really at this point. He's not a new Avenger yet, I don't think. But he basically realizes that he's stuck in a corner, so he calls the one person who he knows he can trust, and that is, drum roll please.
Oh boy.
No, someone drum roll. Come on. Oh shit, we have an actual drum. He calls Black Cat.
Oh.
He calls the X.
Hold on. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
WCGW. What could go wrong?
Well, so far she's drowned in some doo-doo water.
Well, she's in Orlando, I think.
Oh, she's under Disneyland.
She's in the Sunshine State, which is funny considering that she's in a darker place than Peter is right now. In a very, very skin tight costume.
A very good skin tight costume.
It would have been it would have been better there, Air Shogun, if he did call Silver Sable. At least,
it would actually have been worse because she doesn't know his secret identity.
Right, but like she's got more connections.
Yeah,
but
she's rich.
The problem is that it's sort of like the same problem he runs into later with the Avengers. That
Oh, you're that reporter guy. Or
yeah.
you're that guy that used to take pictures for Spider-Man.
So
well,
this is
not only
pre-Civil
that,
War.
but yeah, this is published in 2004, mate.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Then you'd have NYPD. It's like, oh, he's Spider-Man. Yeah. Would you like to come in for questioning, Mr. Parker?
Well, he basically calls in Felicia for an assist, and she says, "Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I'll get back to New York first thing in the morning, but make a list." And so Peter, I love how the first one that comes to Peter's head is Norman Osborn, which makes sense considering that he threw his girlfriend off a bridge and basically murdered his baby.
Yeah, it's like make a list of all the people that don't like you right now, Peter. I'm gonna be here all night. Well, you make that list.
For a superhero, you have a list of a lot of people that don't like you. Just saying.
So Peter breaks.
He is a goody. So
I like this. I like this part where Peter basically breaks into Riker's Island.
What?
Or the raft. He breaks into the prison to interrogate Norman, who is sitting with
on the glass.
No, I actually like how Norman's just like so casually sitting at the Shogun. We don't talk about Sin's past year. You fool.
But no, I was just
But
saying how he's on the glass.
Yeah.
Peter breaks into Rikers to interrogate Norman, and he's like, "What the hell have you done with her?" And so I love how Norman plays this so casually. Like you can tell he has some part in this, but he's just playing with Peter. But
And I'm sure Norman's playing I don't know what you're talking about. You got me thrown in here.
that's exactly what he's saying. And he's like, "Well, that mean Uncle Ben and Aunt May's blood would be all over those little." Hang on, I gotta do my best Willem Dafoe impression. I should have brought Jr. for this.
How about Willem
That would mean Uncle Ben and Aunt May's blood would be all over those cobwebbed little hands.
Oh,
Not
hold
to
on.
mention the dead blonde who used to dance with Parker.
Oh, hold on. If you're going to do Willem Dafoe, you have to kind of remember from the Boondock Saints that it was a firefight.
That was a great scene.
Yes, it was.
You know how much I sacrificed? God, I love Willem Dafoe.
No, the best scene was when in the movie was when he breaks in and Aunt May's praying. He just blows a hole in
Finish it.
Exactly. I was like, fuck, that's evil. Good job.
First, we'll attack his heart. We'll get the bastard hooked on McDonald's. He'll never see it coming. But
Lotto's still in here. You're giving him ideas. I hope you realize that.
Oh fuck! Adam gave me 100. But Norman basically says, "Oh, I shared our little secret, Spoder boy," and he leaks that he talks to He goes, "Oh, surely you didn't think I'd always be a nice guy and keep your street name to myself, did you? It's pretty obvious what happened here. I just told a friend that if you ever succeeded in tossing me in jail, I wanted him to kidnap, torture, and execute your oldest living relative. It's nothing personal, of course. I just keep my grisly reputation up to speed with all the other little lunatics who are crawling out of the woodwork these days. This is during the JMS run where there was like a ton of new villains. So that actually makes...
Yeah.
Jameson, you slime! God, I love this community.
No, don't worry, Gamotron. You're good. I'm not the biggest Spider-Man mark, but I know enough about it to realize that, yeah, this was the time period where Norman had to keep up with the Joneses, especially since the Jones were making, nice little cyanide pies to the faces, or trying to destroy most of Manhattan, or flying planes into towers. He had competition.
Whoa!
No.
11 jokes in this Christian server?
No. I'm talking about the competition he had. He had some real terrorists to go against.
Those
Norman's
Al-Qaeda
just
boys.
keeping up with the time.
But Norman just kind of feeds him some information. Peter goes, "Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I can't even tell you're wearing a face these days." And the guard comes back from taking a potty break, and Norman goes, "Enjoy your leak, Officer Jankowitz." I love that. It's JR's profile picture on the Crawl Space website in the staff pages, and it's just and considering that he's Mad Goblin, I love this page. This panel of him just like smirking evilly. It's great.
Oh, yes. Willem Dafoe defined the crazy goblin, and now everyone's just trying to catch up with him.
I don't think anybody could top that goblin. Honestly.
And then this is where the meat of the action comes in. It's also one of my favorite scenes in the book, where Peter decides to go to Avengers Mansion.
That was a great idea, Peter.
And so he's like, "But they can put me in touch with S.H.I.E.L.D. That's all that matters now. Nick Fury could find a virgin in Arkansas."
Actually, he's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. And so Jarvis answers, and he basically told Peter to screw off. And so armored security arrives at the door. And so you cut to a photo op with Tony Stark, who, remember, at this time was still the Secretary of Defense, which sounds kind of weird, but that I like that. that was a really fun part of Tony's history where he became the Secretary of Defense and he kind of screwed himself over.
Oh yeah.
Well, he would, yeah.
But they're taking a photo op, and so a bunch of armored security takes him too because they're worried that because remember that he's the Secretary of Defense, he's kind of important to the cabinet, and so we get the scene of Peter basically thrashing all of the mansion's security. It's great. And it shows that when Peter's not fighting supervillains, he's basically unstoppable.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I hate One Moment in Time, because it basically makes Peter a chump and he gets knocked out by a fucking brick, I think. I don't remember what exactly it was, but even then, Peter kind of starts wrecking all the Avengers. He takes out Hawkeye before Quicksilver smashes into him. Scarlet Witch is in the background. And so Captain America comes in with a cup of coffee like nothing's wrong.
Because of course Steve will.
But it's like, yeah, why didn't you let him in? It's Spider-Man.
Well, no, not just that, but this is during a point when the Avengers didn't really like him that much. I mean, up until he became an Avenger, the Avengers weren't really his biggest fans, aside from Captain America.
But like, it's like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's like, no, but why didn't the Avengers like him? It's like,
Well, because remember this is back when the Avengers operated under a charter.
Yeah.
oh, this is before Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah, if you read yesterday's Avengers issue, they just got another chairperson. Like they made Black Panther their chairman. This is the first time in about 20 years, or not even maybe 20 years, that we've had an actual Avengers chairman. If anyone can back me up on when the last chairperson was before disassembled, because ever since Bendis' new Avengers run, there hasn't been a chairperson at least. And people forget that they used to have a charter where they had like a specific layout and stuff. And I know that the roster is constantly rotating, but so he gets joined. Quicksilver jobs him, and so Captain America, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Wasp, and I think that's Hank, or is it Scott? I want to say it's Scott, but
What's that?
the guy in the background with the A and the coffee cup.
Harley Scott.
Yeah, because Hank was still Yellow Jacket at this point, I think.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man or Peter says, "Hey, got a person to got a problem here. Give me some help." And so the Avengers basically argue with him, and I think Peter. This is where Peter kind of screws up. He basically insults the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Like he starts making fun about he starts insulting Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And so he basically says, "You know what? Whatever. This ain't working out." And he does apologize. I think Peter realized that he went too far and he started apologizing. And so he kind of runs off before they can get him to stop. I love the scene in the background where I think that's Hawkeye. I think it's supposed to be Scott, but it's the word balloons are directed towards Hawkeye. It's like, oh man, he's broken that statue that we got for being Scorpio too. That was the one time anybody ever gave me anything. So even before Nick Spencer wrote him, Scott was a fucking chump.
Yep.
That's why I love him. But Peter runs off and he realizes, wait a minute, why am I only truly comfortable when I'm surrounding myself with other freaks? And so he goes to the next logical choice, the owl. And I think people forget that the owl used to be really influential back in the day. Like he doesn't have like a cool power set, but he used to be really influential. Like there was an entire arc where he freaking fought Doc Ock, and like it was really dubbed the Owl Octopus War.
Oh yeah.
People tend to forget about that because he doesn't have a cool power set. That's why I think people don't like him. But Owl's kind of nonchalant about things. He says, "Hey, Spider-Man, want some wine?" Peter says no, and he's like, "You know what? Whatever. What do you want, Pete? What do you want, Spidey?" And so Peter establishes an actual age for her. She's in her early 70s.
Yeah.
And I hate how people always say, "Oh, but you can't have an old Aunt May." Well, that's not true. I mean, wasn't it established in canon that that Aunt May is like 20 years older than, like, she's a generation older than Peter's
Sister.
parents?
Yeah.
Well, no, Ben was Richard's brother.
Yeah.
Aunt May and Mary were just sisters-in-law. But Peter says, "You know what? I'll do I your trust you'll do this because I'll owe you a favor. And I know that someone like you will get a lot out of a favor from Spider-Man." So Owl goes, "Wait here." And I like this scene where Peter helps this guy helps up a security guard, or one of his security guards. But so it's kind of a weird scene that I don't think really impacts the overall story, but it's a nice little scene that shows Peter doesn't just constantly web up thugs without getting he doesn't really know them personally, but he doesn't just do it absentmindedly. Like
Yeah,
he talks to this one guy, and he talks about his Crohn's and how he had to get a chunk of his colon cut out. And so
oh, that Crohn's disease is no joke, man. I got a buddy with that shit. It is painful.
yeah. And so Peter asks why he's doing bodyguard work, and he just says he does this, like, he moonlights as he just does it for extra money, but he's actually a fully qualified financial advisor during the day. And he's like, and I like this where Peter goes, "Do you want me to get you like a glass of water or anything?" And I think that's kind of like a nice little scene to show that Peter isn't just punching people; like, he genuinely cares about the people he fights,
Yeah.
or not, something like that. It's just not, it just shows that Peter's a nice guy. And so it's revealed that it's Electro and the Vulture who took Aunt May.
Oh boy.
And so Peter goes, "You're sure about this? My sources are impeccable." And Peter goes, "Thanks." And I love this scene where the owl eats a freaking dead rat. "Oh, you're more than welcome."
Huh.
And so we cut to some nasty part of town, I guess. It's not really nasty, but it's not really pleasant either. But we cut to Max Dillon and Adrian Toombs, aka Electro and the Vulture. They should make a solo comic about these two, I guess.
They really should.
The wacky adventures of Electro and
Because that'll sell more than 20K on the first issue,
Oh
especially in this market. But
Lord.
they did a hit, and so they decide to go out and have a little fun. What does that mean? Go to a strip club. Why not? Or it's just a club with strippers at it, or hookers. It's a difference. But he gets his he says, "You know, let's set up Adrian. I got my own person." And so we get this chunky lady who comes from Chernobyl.
What?
Oh, Vosh, we'll talk about that in a minute. We will talk about them in, I promise. But well, she's a mutant, but she basically begins transforming between different people. She transforms into Sue Storm, Scarlet Witch, in like the old Scarlet Witch costume that had like no shame whatsoever.
it's still good. It's still good.
And then Marina from Atlantis,
Uh,
one of Namor's brides.
she's still cute.
And then we get the reveal that Electro is possibly bisexual, where it's like, my last couple of times up in Rikers really opened a whole new side of myself I didn't even know existed until lately.
Wow.
I guess he dropped the soap a few too many
All about
times.
That's one way to find out that you're.
But he's like, "You promise not to laugh?" And she's like, I love how she an X-Man perhaps, and she jumps to fucking Fin Fang Foom. I want a yif Fin Fang Foom. And so Max is like, "Well, between you and me, I've always fancied a crack at and then it's like Peter is that's Spider-Man. Like I love this lighting effect with the light bulb, where it's like it's complete, where it's like he's shrouded in light and darkness, and he's like, "Oops, sorry to spoil the party, Romeo." Got him.
Oh boy.
Oh shit! I did the white power symbol. I guess. Oh no.
Yeah.
But I just love that last page, especially
And
that. Say
around
what you
this
will about Dodson, but he can definitely do Spidey poses.
around this point too, we would have Dr. Francis Filth going, "Hello, kids."
Look at Adam's thing, a kiss and a dragon. Ooh,
Oh yeah. Hello,
Adam,
kids.
it's not okay to be a furry.
No.
Welcome to the Filthy Frank Show.
If you're feeling suicidal, you've come to the right place. 'Cause I want to fucking kill myself as well.
Which I'm sure is what Vulture is thinking when he's like, "Oh,
When he realizes that his girlfriend wanted him to yiff and fang foom. But
yip in peace."
you get the reveal that Electro has an honor system. So he's like, "You want to give the girl 2 minutes to get the hell out of here?" And so he's like, "Whatever." Spider-Man's like, "Fine by me." And then he basically shocks him. Like, you really think I'm that stupid? And so Vulture almost got lucky, but he didn't because and so
she was a furry. She wanted to be a furry.
Well, no, Vulture actually got a really nice person. Like, she seems nice.
Oh, okay.
He's like, "Where are you going, Mr. Toombs?" Turns to the Vulture and help him. And he's like, "It doesn't work that way. The wings are just a costume when they're back at the Helmsley." And so it's like, rather than do anything, he just jumps out the freaking window.
He's like, "Come on, we'll finish this elsewhere."
And I love how Electro's like, "What the hell? Get back here, man!"
It's like, "No, you interrupted. You interrupted Boom Boom time there, Electro.
Woo!
That's on you."
And so the Vulture fucks up, and he doesn't drop the briefcase, but it gets yanked open by Peter because he attached a web line to it, and all the money goes everywhere. And he's like, "That was all the money we had, you idiot!"
Oh my god, when did we combine trading places with Spider-Man?
And then he blows up the joint. I love that. Like, it just like he's so angry that he just blows everything. And you can see, like, if you look close enough, you can see Peter go flying in the explosion.
He's like the Vulture right now is like Balrog from Street Fighter. My money.
But basically Adrian's like, "Okay, what are we gonna do?" Electro says, "Get your costume on. We're gonna crucify him." you took away $20 million from us.
So Peter became an accidental Robin Hood. He robs from the criminals and
gives to the people.
That'll make you bastards happy.
And then apparently Electro does things for cheap because he got the person who does the web he get the girl who does his website. He has a website in 2004. That's impossible. But he had her friend redesign it for like less than $3K. That's actually kind of impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Especially all that spandex and all that tactical shit.
It ain't useful, but it is tactical.
All those pouches and extra lines. It's like a Jim Lee book. And then I love how you would never get away with this joke in 2018, but Peter goes, "Really? And I thought you were the crook. Looks to me more like Queer Eye for the straight guy anyways, dude." You would not get away with that joke in 2018. I'm just saying.
Well, Peter would have to be sassy and all.
He'd have to be he'd have to come out as a Latino trans man.
Yes.
To get okay, guys, I just checked the poll. We are half and half. Life and Times of Cindy Moon and Venomous are tied.
Whoa.
So whichever one breaks the tie well, not the one that breaks the tie, but at the end of Storytime, we will use that to decide what we do next week. So if you want to see one of those two storylines reviewed or read, then now it's time to do it, and it ends at I don't know, let's say 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it depends on what time we finish. But 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 Electro like, man, where do you get off saying my costume like suit looks stupid? I think Peter was saying your costume looks gay.
Oopsie. Insensitivity.
Gay. But
Homophobia.
but Peter gets thrashed by Electro when he realizes that he did. I don't think they kidnapped. Oh, that's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
That's
But Electro realizes he's now Magneto.
what? I forgot Eric shows up.
Well, no. It's not Eric. It's Electro uses ionization to control metal.
I gotcha.
He's actually a magnet boy.
He pulled a static shock.
Yeah, and so Peter gets slashed, and I love how like Electro just starts using civilian casualties, and then he blows up a car.
Because he's already going to jail for attempted murder. What's one more charge?
He'll get out anyways.
Exactly, he usually does. That's what's wrong with the New York criminal justice system. They're letting all these superpowered freaks get out.
Revolving door. And so Electro's like, any idea how pathetic you sound sometimes? I don't know. Electro. Oh, there were kids in the car. Oh crap.
He's not getting out of that one.
Oh yeah, no, he's a
well, he's not getting hung up on it, so it's like whatever. And so he reveals that like he's been kind of innovating with his powers. And he's like, ionizing metal was Dr. Octopus's idea, by the way. And so then he blows up another, and then he uses Master of Magnet to create like this weird, like it's a weird page where it's like not all the way, like it's. I think that was intentional.
Oh yeah.
But he uses to smash a ton of cars into Spider-Man.
Damn.
And I love that double page spread. Dodson does really good.
Yes, he does.
And so then Electro thinks that Electro kind of gets kind of cocky, and he's like, why aren't you at the hotel yet? And Vulture's like just flying, like he's just floating. And so Peter kind of takes advantage of Electro getting distracted and beats the crap out of him.
Oops,
sorry.
Yeah, I do that.
And then Electro tries to shock him, and Peter's like, what was that about using your brain more these days? He's next to a gas line. So that's fun.
Womp womp.
And so then it's revealed that Peter's like, where'd you hide your hostage? Who? May Parker. No, literally who? And so he's like, the owl told me. And it's like, wait a minute, you went to the owl? That's kind of like one of the dumbest things in this comic is that Peter went to the owl and took his word for something. And so he's like, the owl played you like a goddamn fiddle. Or no, truth is the owl just played you like a friggin' violin. And so Peter gets thrashed. Like Electro is down, but he takes Peter with him. And so Peter lands on a cop car while it's moving.
Ow.
And so Peter gets rushed into the emergency medical ward in an ambulance into a hospital. And you hear who they got in coming in with all these guys? Daredevil, right? and I heard it was Paste Pot Pete from the Frightful Four. I already called my wife and promised to get a picture from that friggin' loser. I love that. But and so it's like oh, Peter's messed up bad. It's bad. I mean, it's kind of a given that it's bad, but it's like actually bad for Peter. Like he's got like full thickness burns up to his upper chest,
Ugh.
and like early tissue edema and a fractional dislocation of his humeral head.
Fuck.
And so he's gonna get his mask off, even though there's like policy. Even though it's like policy for media, they take off his mask and then like get to work and they save him. But it cuts to MJ in a motel, and it shows that it's like MJ is freaking out because she doesn't know where Peter is, and like she's stuck in a motel. I don't know what state she's in, but she's definitely out of New York because she mentions she's going back, and she sees in the news that Peter got shredded in a fight. And I actually like how they handle this in the hospital. The head of the hospital is like, I don't care whose fault it is. You know the procedure. Any super people brought in here get marked under assumed names and immediate blackouts. That's actually really smart of them because they know how. Because this is New York, like 13 years after the first appearance of the Fantastic Four and the other heroes. So I think this is actually a pretty smart thing to do media blackouts for injuries.
Yep.
Because while the F4 have public identities, there's people like Peter and Matt who don't feel like dying.
Come on. They don't want a visit from any of their people that they put in jail? I don't see why not.
And then the issue ends with the Vulture smashing in and breaking and killing people. And so the lady who is watching over him goes, "This isn't fair. You can't do this. He doesn't even know where he is, you jerk." And then the Vulture goes, "Take a look at the Discovery Channel, sweetheart. This is what vultures do."
Yeah, pretty much.
I just love how menacing that is. Like when you look at like the Vulture's original costumes, they don't look like hot shit.
Well, he actually looks like a vulture now.
I know. I'm just saying, like Dodson really nails the menacing nature of the Vulture in this issue, especially in that last page where it's just him on the edge of the bed, like on that perch. And so the final cover, I'm not as big of a fan as that as I am with this. It's just Peter and MJ against not Peter and MJ, Peter and Felicia against the Vulture. So it starts out with Aunt May saying, "Oh, Peter, you're lying there you're like a little broken bird lying there." And so Peter kind of gets more hints that it's kind of not really what he's seeing. And so like they're going, "Gosh, it doesn't matter anymore, Peter. Ignore the villains." And it's like, no, and it's like, "No, silly boy. This is just the madazolam the doctors prescribed inducing mild hallucinations. The Vulture's walking towards your bed even as we speak. Didn't you hear the little grunt from the nurse as he twisted her head all the way around?" And like it shows him snapping her neck. Like you would never see that in a Marvel comic nowadays.
Nope. Violence against women. Violence against the woman.
But the Vulture basically like starts torturing Peter and like ripping off his bandages and shit. And then Peter slams a water pitcher into his face. What a champ.
And would have been better if it was the bedpan.
Well, it's a glass water pitcher, so it's gonna hurt.
Oh.
No, I'm just like, here's my pee.
Oh, whoa. Oh no, it's just a glass water pitcher. Like it's like, you know how they pour glasses of water. So the security breaks in, they start shooting, and they accidentally hit Peter in the shoulder with a gun blast.
Oh.
You can see the blood, and they're like, "Hold the fire, you idiot." And so the Vulture takes Peter and lifts him up into the sky. I believe I can fly. They're singing R. Kelly. Wait, I don't know what Adam's saying. Oh God, too, but I'm sure we'll figure out once the 30-second delay is finished. But the Vulture basically goes, "Hey, you're having a rough day, boy. You know what I'm gonna do with it? You know, I'm pissed off now because that money I was gonna spend on my grandson. Turns out he has a grandson. Woo!" But it's revealed that his son had a wife, and they had a kid, but her husband was doing time for armed robbery in Delaware, which if oh, that was to the fact that the vulture snapped it. Yeah, that's actually really grim for one, a Spider-Man comic, two, especially in today's culture where we get really sensitive over anything dying. This is really it was really graphic to see it. Like it's I'm gonna go back to it. Like you just see it like snap all the way. It's actually like really disturbing. Especially like that lifeless look in her eyes. Normally I'd say that's just Terry Dodson's faces, but we know it's not.
She's dead. She's dead,
Yeah,
Jim.
yeah. Vulture is old enough to have a grandson. And I think the wrinkles kind of prove it to you. But turns out that she reveals that they had a kid together, and like he was happy for a while. They let For 6 months they visited him. They actually cared about him, and then once they let him out, he saw them twice a week. So Vulture actually has a good reason for stealing the money so he can pay for his grandson's cancer treatment. And so $500,000, and they said the kid might have a chance. 10 million, I'm giving the best cancer treatment any money could buy and set him up for the rest of his life. Um, and then I love this part where Peter's kind of coming to, and he's realizing how bad of shape he's in. And Vulture rips off the bandages, and he sees Peter's face. He unmasks Peter essentially, and Vulture's like, "I don't believe this. All of those friends of mine you put away. I just assumed you had to be somebody, but look at you. You're a nobody. You could be pumping gas or stacking shells when you're doing this. Jeez, this is depressing." And he lets go of Peter. All these years of getting beaten by a nobody. And I love that. Like, one of the problems I've had with the post Parker Industries era of Spider-Man is that they've wrangled themselves into a corner where Peter is now world famous. But this was 2004, where no one on the grand scale knew where Peter was until he unmasked himself. And I don't know, like Peter being a nobody was kind of the point. He was the everyman. And I think
Which
that was kind of
Gee, thanks, slot.
yeah. I think Spencer's trying to fix that where like he's trying to make Peter into like a I think that Slot has irrevocably damaged that because everyone knows who Peter Parker is now. But I think he's trying to set it up so people kind of forget him as like a washed up person as opposed to like someone who just lost his company.
Yeah.
But Peter starts falling. He doesn't have his web shooters, and he's screwed. And then surprise! Yep, yay! It's Black Cat and all of her amazing cleavage to the rescue.
Booyah.
Wonder tits.
Well, not even lying. Like that's Dodson. That's Dodson tier balloon tits right there.
Oh, hold on. Are we talking the super giant ones?
Yeah.
The ones that J. Scott Campbell he's at his temple.
Well, I know Feisty's gonna kill me for saying this, but Dodson draws people with accurate proportions, not missing their internal organs.
Oops.
Yep.
Feisty's gonna freaking neck me the next time we talk.
It's gonna be like
I'm gonna murder you, boy.
But here
tonight.
Smaxo asked for a show. Here you go. Like
Whoa,
you would not see this shit in modern comics. Like what do you say, 2011? Past this, you wouldn't see that. Like I know back when we did Big Time, yeah, Felicia had disturbingly large breasts that were about the size of her head. But they didn't look like it's Ramos. You don't think I want to look at Ramos balloon tits? But Felicia throws Peter onto a roof so that he can get to safety, And so Peter's like he saves himself, and Felicia and Vulture fight for a bit. And I actually like this because it shows that Felicia can hold her own against
Oh yeah,
the Vulture. Look at those big tracts of land.
they're
Uh-huh.
beautiful.
But
They're big, wonderful tracts of land.
and you wouldn't hear any of this language, but in I know I keep referring to like you wouldn't see or hear this in modern day Marvel, but like there's such a big difference between modern day Marvel and
Current year
like
Marvel.
no like 2000s Marvel.
Yeah, get it right. Get it right, shit lord. That's
Well,
current year.
how sore is her back? I don't know. Does she wear a push-up bra? I don't know.
Who knows? But
Sport
she does have a bit of the super soldier serum inside that mask, so
is that like a thing, or is that just the animated series? I think it's just the animated series that
it's
did
just the
that.
animated series. Who knows?
Um, but it's like he calls Black Cat a stupid skank. Like you would not
Ooh.
hear someone call a woman that.
That's what sucks about modern Marvel. It's just ugh.
Remember, kids, this is current year Marvel.
But Vulture's like, worry about yourself, honey. And she's like, you're joking, right? You're not exactly Doctor Doom. And then and then she starts thrashing his ass, and she smashes him into a Mary Jane billboard.
Because that wasn't intentional. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
it's not.
And then Peter, in his hospital gown, climbs a wall to with a bunch of kids looking at his
As bare ass.
yeah his bare, and he makes it to safety, and so Black Cat starts basically torturing him. Well, not torturing him, but she basically starts interrogating him for answers. Adam, yeah, Marvel Knights was very adult oriented, but there were also other comics in the main Marvel line that were also very adult themed. Not necessarily adult themed, but this was 2000s where edginess was like abound, and they weren't worried about like offending people. So I don't know. Maybe this is actually this reading other comics of the 2000s. It seems like a very common phrase. They're not like common phrases, but like they were certainly more graphic than they are now.
Yeah, which before Joey Quesadilla decided,
Well,
come
no,
BPC.
but Quesadilla was the guy who started doing the Edge.
Oh, he was the guy doing the Edge until he decided, no, we don't need to do the Edge more. Come BPC.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of blood, and so I like that she's like, there's only so many cheating husbands and insurance frauds out there. Um, she was actually looking for them down in Florida. Remember that guy she was drowning in Florida? She was actually
Yeah.
looking for Vulture and Electro.
Oops.
So I guess she found them. And
She found him. She's beating the old man.
and it's implied that she's gonna go for the other one too.
Oh boy.
And
Down kitty.
so when he's basically like, "Stop, my boy, he's got cancer," she's like, "Yeah," "Yeah, you got balls, boy." And she's like, "Touch my ex again, and I'll kill you." And then you basically hear Vulture scream, "Bye, Felicia."
Huh.
And so in the meatpacking district in Manhattan, Electro wakes up in a spotlight in an interrogation room where the Vulture, where the owl is holding him down, has bound him down, and so the only messages they um how do you say it? Halo Paradol
What's the
in okay, so they used like some kind of neural, what's the opposite of a stimulant? Shit. My
I know what you're talking about. They're using a depressant on
it's a
him.
sedative. They're
A
using like
sedative.
and the ropes are the only thing keeping him upright, and the only messages that his brain can understand are pain signals.
Oh boy.
And so he starts like screaming for his, not for his mom, but he starts calling for Vulture. But turns out they owed the owl money, and they were gonna use it to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And so they they take the potato sack off of the other guy, and it turns out that Vulture got the crap beaten out of him.
Oi.
Fake cup. Look how deep those. Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casada used to be part of the fudge packing district.
Oh God.
But
Hey, bud, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab something to eat really quick.
all right, that's cool.
But yeah, yeah, they're no, basically no mercy on them, huh?
Yeah, like this. I don't know if this guy's name, but he like takes out like a little scalpel thing that has like a hook on it,
Oh, the old
and then
fish
the
hook.
owl and the owl is sitting in the background with like a little cup of tea. He's like, "To it, twoo, Mister Dillon. To it, twoo."
Oh,
And it's implied that he goes to work on them. And
ah,
so you got a couple of teasers. The first is MJ heading back to New York wearing a weird hat and pink sunglasses. Teaser 2 is Peter in his home with Felicia watching over him. Teaser 3 is your boy Shadow Man watching TV. Then teaser 4 is the Daily Bugle where you meet this photographer, and you meet Saul Fitcher from Better Call Saul,
oh boy.
and he is a photographer, so kind of tries to set him up as like a new supporting character. I don't think it's supposed to be a supporting character, but it's kind of like they go a little too far in naming his in his character description. Like they go way too much into what for a
For a
regular
move.
for a background character. They go way into too much detail for a background character.
Yeah, yeah. For a regular mook, they do a little too much. So,
But this guy did he took a shot of Dazzler after her overdose, and also the Kingpin eating through a straw
huh?
after Daredevil messed him up. And so they couldn't run Saul's name without compromising his position, but they have pictures of Spider-Man's face. And so the arc and the issue ends with Jonah standing up and asking Robbie, like, as real as you or me, JJJ, Spider-Man without his mask and lying on a hospital gurney. What do you think? And I love this page. It's J. Jonah Jameson just standing over the photos, and he goes, "I think that's one very familiar face."
Huh.
To be continued, friendos. All right, so that was the first arc of Marvel Knights Spider-Man: Down Among the Dead Men. Jaime, thoughts? Go.
Uh, it was actually a pretty good premise, the Marvel Knights, as far as that went. And that ended on a good note, too, in that first volume, because, oh, yeah, J. Jonah Jameson knows exactly who the hell that is.
Well, actually, going into the next arc, he really
Yeah.
doesn't. But that's kind of a spoiler thing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering that the series is kind of meant to be just kind of fun story time, but also kind of help people get into comics.
It does, but no, it's like, yes, he does, but he doesn't. He's going to play the game of plausible deniability because, in all truth, J. Jonah actually likes Peter, even if he doesn't like Spider-Man.
But I think what helped this arc was
Yeah.
the very adult nature of it.
Oh yeah, they pulled no punches with it. I mean,
Like you saw a lot of blood and a lot of cuts.
blood, a lot of cuts. You saw a lot of black cat boob.
Yeah, you saw a lot of graphic stuff. A lot of graphic stuff. Like you saw a woman's neck get snapped.
You also saw kids getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, Adam was right in that this is the Marvel Knights imprint, which was a lot more adult than the standard Marvel comic. But still, when you read comics these days, like even the ones that say they're deliberately edgy,
Like Bat Dick.
not even Batic, but like what's a good example? Like a lot of indie stuff. Like they've been saying, we're gonna go back to edgy, gritty comics.
At J.
But I think that like the Marvel Knights imprint, and more specifically this comic, was kind of like that sweet balance between overly '90s edge. Like when you look at Jawbreakers, whether or not you like Richard C. Meyer or not, he tends to focus very much on the the '90s edge,
Which the
rather than
90s Edge was a bit different than current.
the 2000s edge. Where like, the 2000s edge comes from a post 9/11 era,
Yeah.
whereas the '90s edge just comes from wanting to do something edgy because
Eh,
they can.
all right, and Smaxo's asking what's with the Bat Dick?
Batman
Uh,
Damned.
Batman Dam from the Black Label. And that's all we're saying.
It's not worth going into detail more about.
No, it's really not.
Um, then I think this kind of strikes a good balance between wholesome and edgy because there's a lot of nice moments between Peter and MJ that kind of
And it
establish.
may.
Yeah, it doesn't really focus on the Peter as a family unit with the Parkers, but it does establish that family is very important to him, and that's why he does it. No, that's why he carries on this fight. Yeah, Adam said it perfectly. Edge for edge's sake.
Yeah.
But I think that looking at this, it's good. It's a damn good comic. But like the reason I kind of wanted to talk about this is because it's not very well known. Like I know that among comic readers it's well known, but like I talked to some friends who didn't know about the story. They're like, "Wait, what is this?" And it's like it ran concurrent to JMS's Spider-Man. They're like,
It did.
"Really?" Like they were surprised by it. That kind of threw me off because this is kind of an important storyline. It establishes not this specific trade, but like the Mark Millar storyline. It's responsible for setting up a lot of things in the MU,
Yeah,
like
it's Max.
Mac Gargan being Scorpion,
Yeah.
Mac Gargan becoming Venom. That was established in this storyline. This is important for the actual entire universe.
It is. And Smaxo's talking about the keeping up with the Parkers. It's like, well, if you want it, go vote.
Full House. But yeah, here's a good question. On a 10-point scale, what kind of grade would you give it, Jaime?
Uh, this book is a solid 8. I'll say that.
I'd say 8.5 to a
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
It definitely gets better with like the next set of issues.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it usually gets on the best of Spider-Man lists, and for good reason.
Yeah, it
And
does.
it's not just these 4 issues; like the entire 12-issue run usually makes it onto some kind of top 10 list of best Spider. I think on the crawl space we did the staff did a the staff submitted their top 10 picks, and this meta arc made number 10 on that list.
I mean, it's a good
It's
it's a good arc.
book. Yeah, poor Mac just got out of the Scorpion suit and then got stuck with Venom.
Yup.
Um, yeah, it was kind of weird because I think they just needed a new Venom, especially considering where they were going with this. But I actually think Gargan as Venom was a solid pick, just because he kind of fits that psychopathic profile.
Yeah, he did.
I don't want to end this without Common, but he's not here, so
Oh yeah, where did he go? But anyhow,
he went to go get some food.
don't blame him. But yeah,
So, all right, guys. Final call for the poll. We are neck and neck. Someone needs to break the tie. Like seriously, we are 2 votes for Life of Times of Cindy Moon and Venomous. So if anyone wants to submit their votes last minute and get their final say in, that is the story we will tackle next week for story time. But we want to give everyone here their voice. So vote with your mouth and your clicking thing.
Clicky.
Yeah, Game Motron, break the tie. Do it, because I think we're pretty much at a stalemate unless someone comes in, like unless we got like a massive surge of viewers. Moon, let's go to the pain. Every writer who gets stuck. I feel bad for every writer who had to fix Silk because they started off on a really uneven foot with her. Like Robbie Thompson salvaged the character.
But it took a whole heck of a lot.
Damn it! They tied again.
Lol.
Ah. All right, guys, we are 3 for 3 with Venomous and Life and Times of Cindy Moon.
You tried.
I did try. Tell you what, I'm gonna put the poll up on. I'm gonna do it like live.
Like Bill O'Reilly. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Here we go. We're going to move back to the poll. Wait, flip a coin. Oh, geez. Do you want me to flip a coin? All right. Tell you what. Is this what we're seeing? Okay. This is what you'll be seeing. Okay. Quarter. I just giant coins actual.
Oh.
But yeah. You know what? We'll flip a coin. Audience, which will be head and which will be tails? Just gotta find a quarter or a nickel. Either one will work. I've got a ton of pennies in here.
that college life.
Yeah. Can't say I'm penniless because I got too many. Oh, shit. I just have all these coins just spilled out on my desk. Watches the coin land standing up.
That would be his luck.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. What are your two choices?
Venomous, Marvel Knights number 5 through 8, and Life and Times of Cindy Moon, numbers 1 through 7.
Heads for Venomous, Cindy Moon for tails.
Okay, so Smaxo says head for Moon.
Okay, let's do that.
That sounds like okay. So heads, tails. You know how a coin works. I'm gonna see if I can flip it. Hang on. Fuck.
Seriously?
Tails.
All right, we're going Venomous.
All right, we're going Venomous, guys. So next week, tune in for Venomous, and I guess Silk will be on the docket again for next week. God.
Poor Cindy.
Poor Cindy. She'll always be there, but she never will be. It's a two-headed coin. So we'll form a new poll. Cindy Moon will be on next week's docket again. Poor Cindy. But yeah, this was a good stream again. So thank you, Jaime, for coming on, and I guess Common can be thanked too, even though he's not there.
He went to go grab some food because I don't think he wanted to try to decide either.
I think Smaxo. Wait, did the poll didn't change? Okay, good. All right, guys, poll is closed, and Venomous has become our next week's story time. And if you want to come back next week, we definitely will be welcoming you. So thanks, Jaime and Common, for joining me tonight because I am terrible by myself, and I think that'll be it. So thanks for tuning in for Storytime, guys. Y'all have a good night and stay swinging.
Swoo.